Well, to learn more about my one-man show, This is a Man's World, stay tuned. Watch this video. I was always, there was a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, actor. His name is Pepe Serna, and he was always telling me, you should do a one-man show, and you should. And he has a one-man show, he one-person show, and it was. I felt there was a real, it was a challenge. Why, maybe I should try it. He would say, you sing, you dance, you can act. So I thought, well, what is it that I'm passionate about, or what is it that I want to say? What is something that I want to talk about? And then I joined a this writers group, and thank God I got in. And I think there was like 8 of us or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but all of us were Latino, and the whole purpose was to propagate that Latino writers. And so I was the only one that had a one-person show that was trying to workshop. And the impetus really was, I grew up around a lot of masculinity, if there's a way to describe it. My dad is was very traditional from Mexico, from a very sort of macho man, and there were 7 of us brothers. Imagine 7 of us, so it's really 8 of us and my mom. So there's a lot of testosterone around. Not to mention, all the guys in our neighborhood and my cousins, etc. And then all of my brothers, they all had boys except one. And then I had 2 boys. And I was realizing, a lot has changed in from the time that I grew up till now, in terms of, role models for males, for young men, and what does that mean, in terms of being a man? What does that mean in terms of maleness? Who do we look up to? How do you become a man? And so I started. I wanted to explore that, and that was the impetus of the play. That was the impetus of me writing. So I started, well, how do I start this? So I just started writing stories that happened to me as I grew up. So it's semi-autobiographical, because some of the stories I took from, like, my older brother, who I learned so much from and was inspired by. Certain things I took from him and incorporated them in the story, and some I made up. But a lot of it, a big portion of it is factual or happened. And so a lot of it is me growing up, from being a little boy in Tijuana, Mexico, an experience there, and then growing up in South Central LA. My first car, my first love, getting married, having my first child. Those are all milestone things that happen to you in life, and how these men in my life, and not just the men, my uncles and my dad, etc., but also the men, the portrayals of, like, the rifleman when on TV, Superman on TV, the monsters, the monster movies, different things that influence you is when you're a child, when you're growing up, and that had an effect on me, and how that molded me, and the sense of what makes you. The masculinity, the thing that you can't back down from a fight, for instance, and I realized that I had a lot of fights growing up, and in fact the director said, we got to cut this scene because it's another fight. You know what I mean? And it's not like I was a great fighter. I lost every fight. It's not, but just conflict, I guess, and how you resolve conflict. And there's one story in there about my dad, who my older brother was, he was beaten up by this man, and my dad wanted to go basically get revenge for hitting his son, and rightly so. I mean, that's your first instinct, is to go, retaliate for someone who's, injured your loved one, and then how over the process of just growing and evolving. And I ended up diffusing that situation, which could have ended up really, really tragic. And it was just one of those things. So I tried to string these different stories, by the different things that happen in terms of learning and growing and evolving and maturing, you know. And so I use a device. Well, I had this thing that happened to me, which was it's actually more common than I found out. It's called transient global amnesia, and it's when you lose your memory for a short amount of time. In my case, I lost it for like what was it, like 6 hours or so, and it's supposed to be, I guess it's like a mini stroke, and the doctor says you'll probably never get it again. It's one of these rare things that happen. So I use the device of losing my memory to string all those stories together as if I had to find who I was again. And I illustrated all these stories and bringing them together and linking them in a way to say, oh, this is who I am, and this is what, the person that I become as a man. Well, I portrayed the different characters. Obviously, my brothers, my different brothers, my dad, and then I sing a little bit, I dance a little bit, and my best friend growing up. So I portray a lot of the characters, and that are in the stories. So I play them. I step away and play one character, and it's something that was very challenging because I've never done before. I've never been on the stage by myself before, and it really, I have to say, it was very cathartic and very therapeutic as well. I realized that there's one story in there where an older bully tries to, for fun, he tries to drown me, and I found out from other family members, etc., that he had done it to many kids, many children. He had done that to. So he was like this bully, and he had this thing that I guess he got his kicks of trying to drown little kids, just having power over you or whatever. And ironically, just karma, man. He ended up drowning in the ocean. He drowned. That's how he met his demise. So so I talk about that. The point of that was that I didn't realize that I still had some resentment. I was still holding on to that. And it wasn't until I put it in the play and acted through it that I realized, oh, I've got to let this go. And in the play, I let it go, which was like I said, it was very cathartic and therapeutic. As you know, when you record plays, normally it's just a recording for the archive. It's not recorded with several cameras. It's not done in a style like you would a play for television, let's say, or for broadcast. It's not really for broadcast. It's really for archival purposes, And but nevertheless, it's good that we have it, because at this time of COVID, people can't go to the theater. And so what we've tried to do because the sound is not, we're not mic'd, I don't have a lavalier or anything, so the sound is not ideal. But so what the staff has done, in my case, Ivan Robles, he's put captions, so that you make sure you get all the dialogue, and you get an idea of what the play was like. And another essential thing that happens, which is good, is you get the laughter from the audience. So you get some reaction from the audience who's watching it, and that helps as well, because so it helps you take in that theatrical experience. But I think it's just wonderful because so many people obviously don't get to the theater. This is a way for them to see something and see my work. That'd be, I'm flattered. That's wonderful. I'm excited to see what the reaction is going to be. I think that all of us have a story, and all of us grew up with different challenges and struggles, etc. We all have a story. And I think that hopefully people will be able to relate to some of the stories, because things happen to all of us that you know, are that affect us, that shape us, and the way we grow up, and things that happen to us, and the people that we become. And I think that that's what I just want to convey. It's say, look, you know, everything's going to work out. It's all going to work out in the end, you know. And you can overcome so many things in life. And I've certainly been inspired by other people's stories and the things that they've overcome. And you know, this play was a work of passion, and I hope it's going to be enjoyable more than anything else. I mean, I want people to enjoy it. I want them to be able to laugh and laugh with me, if not at me. And that's mainly what it is. It's entertainment, and at the same time, I hope it's, you know, I've imbued some poetry in there and some inspiration. You know, I hope people can come away with a good feeling about it. Why should the theater audience see this play? Because this is the kind of piece that theater audiences want to see. I think, I hope, you know, theater audiences are very sophisticated. I think that they are a different breed in that they know what goes into it. They appreciate the art form. Because it is a different art form. It is an ancient art form. And I think that it has something to say. And I think it has something to say in terms of, you know, not just, I think the way it's written, you know, many times we go see the spectacle of it. And in this play, it's not so much the spectacle. It's really in the writing and the performing and the exposing of my soul, if you will. You know, I'm opening myself up to the audience. You know, and I think that's what I wanted to go see when I go to the theater. I want to see these performers. I want to see their soul. I want to see what they're going to bring to the stage. You know. And in this case, I leave it there. I leave it all on the stage. The Latino Theater Company was great because, you know, thank God. I mean, I'm a member, and I had a venue. You know, I had a venue. I asked José Luis if he would direct it, and who I respect, and he helped me so much. He helped me cut all those pages that I needed to cut. But more than anything, he helped me link the whole piece together. And he's so good when it comes to transitions. That's I think his forte when it comes to plays, are the transitions in plays. And that's what keeps the play moving. You know, that's what keeps a piece moving. It keeps the interest and keeps the flow and the pace of a play. And he certainly helped me with that. And then, you know, all our staff, our crew, who was so dedicated. They're small, but they're mighty, you know. And Ivan Robles, and then Henry Fernandez, who was my stage manager, and Ewan, who did the lighting, and the set. And so all that, you know, was just tremendous. I mean, it's a small production, you know, it's not anything lavish and by any stretch of the imagination, but it was specific, you know, and it was just a tremendous opportunity for me with the company's help and their backing. I could never have done it without them, and I'm so grateful and thankful. And we'll see what the audience thinks about it. Our theater is so important because it's our way to tell stories, and stories that have not been told, stories that people aren't aware of. There's so many stories to tell, and I think that telling stories brings us together. It brings us, there's a commonality among all of us, you know, no matter what color, creed, or race, etc. you're from. That's what makes us all human. You know, there's something humane about telling a story that you can relate to that person. It doesn't matter what color they are, what they look like, or where they're from. You know, these are universal, universal topics. And like, as I said before, I think that the more specific a story is, the more universal it is. And we share, it reminds us that we share so much in common, that we're the same, that we have heartache and we have joy and we have love and all these things that make us, come together and make us the same, as opposed to different. And to help us, inspire us to be better. And hopefully that's what theater does. And the Latino Theater Company is important because it not only do we tell our stories and stories that reflect the experience of our community through the Latin spectrum, but we present plays of all types, and of every experience. And so we want to continue to be doing that. It's important now more than ever, I think, and it's always important. And I think it's great entertainment, and it's great for our soul,